I want to give a quick shout out to the ASBC community. Subscribe, guys. Anyway, I'm going to quote what Wladimir Klitschko actually revealed about why he turned down the rematch that he was going to have against AJ last year. And I quote Wladimir: "The way I boxed was the way I acted in my life. I have to make sure everything sits. And I knew my stocks went up after I lost for some weird reason. But it was the most complicated and difficult decision of my life ever. For 27 years, I've been doing it. And when you know you gotta pull the plug, that's it. It's done. So I was saying to myself, Vlad, come on, man. You gotta make a decision." Because one day, I'd wake up and say, yes, I'm gonna go for it. Then second day, I'd wake up and say, wait a second, it's about AJ, it's about rematch. So you have to be honest with yourself. What is your gut feeling saying? Because as soon as your brain turns on, you're gone. So that is what Wladimir Klitschko had to say. He says that it was a very difficult decision for him to, I guess, retire and to turn down. Because if you guys remember, he turned down $30 million for a rematch. They were supposed to fight. I remember in my original channel, they were supposed to fight, I believe, August, September. Because the first fight was very exciting and they wanted to see, obviously they sold out, 90,000. So they wanted a rematch. And I remember, if you remember, they were waiting on Klitschko because Anthony Joshua already, and his team, they already wanted that fight to happen next. But they were really waiting on Klitschko. Is he gonna, take the fight or not? And then eventually retiring. And Wladimir Klitschko, he says that he's been doing this for 27 years and that his stock went up. And it's true, because if you remember, Wladimir Klitschko has never been known as an exciting fighter, right? He's a very relaxed fighter. He's never been like a come forward, trying to knock your head off type of fighter. So I guess what he's saying is, when he fought Wladimir Klitschko, when he fought Anthony Joshua, his stock went up because that was like the most exciting I've seen Klitschko since he fought Kurat-Pulev, right? Even before the Kurat-Pulev fight, normally Klitschko is just a very dull fighter. Let's be real. Like, he's normally like a dull fighter to watch. He's never been the most exciting fighter to watch. So I guess what he means is, like, when he fought Anthony Joshua in Wembley, like, that really took his stock up because, like I said, it was a very exciting fight and people wanted to see it again. They were demanding. And obviously, it's, who the hell turns down $30 million? But you have to keep in mind, Wladimir Klitschko was a guy that made a lot of money in his career, right? He was a multi-millionaire. Now, to me and you, me and you would never turn down $30 million, right? We'll never turn that down. And I said this openly. I would get a $1 million payday and let Anthony Joshua knock me out. I wouldn't care if he knocked me out because, I'm getting that $1 million payday. So let alone a $30 million payday. But, I guess Klitschko just wasn't that greedy. And like I said, he's already a wealthy man, right? Klitschko is already a very wealthy man. This is a guy who was always making millions every time he fought. So he's probably worth over 100 million or something, or around there, because like he was making 13, 15 million per fight. So I guess that's why, he was able to turn down a big money fight. And to be honest, I think it was good for Klitschko to do that. I think it was good for him to do that because it's the way that fight ended. It was a very exciting fight, and it was a fight that he was winning, right? He was winning. So imagine he would have fought. Let's say he would have not, retired, and imagine he would have fought Anthony Joshua September last year, and let's say he would have got destroyed. Let's say Anthony Joshua would have caught him with like a short hook, in like the second round and just destroy him. Then, let's say Klitschko would have retired after that. Then people would have just remembered Klitschko as, he got knocked out in 2 rounds against Anthony Joshua in his last fight, right? But I think the reason this is a good fight that was a good fight for him to retire. The first AJ fight was because the way the fight played out. It was a very competitive fight, and Klitschko did to Joshua what no opponent has done to Joshua, right? He knocked him down, and he was up in the scorecards, right? He was winning rounds. Normally, Joshua wins the majority of rounds when he fights guys, right? But against Klitschko, that was a very difficult fight. And why I think that would look good in Klitschko's career and when it comes to legacy-wise is, let's say 10 years pass. Let's say in the next 10 years, Anthony Joshua becomes the undisputed heavyweight champion, right? He beats Wilder, and let's say he goes on to defend his belts for the next 10 years. And imagine he retires undefeated. Or let's say he loses one time, but he avenges his loss, and he just keeps on fighting, and he eventually retires. And let's say nobody he fights was ever in a competitive fight with him. That's going to make Wladimir Klitschko look really good, because people will be looking back at Wladimir Klitschko, and they're going to be like, damn, Wladimir Klitschko was past his prime when he fought Anthony Joshua. He was 41 years old, yet a 41-year-old inactive Wladimir Klitschko was able to give Joshua that much that many issues and drop him. And he was able to do that against Joshua. Meanwhile, Joshua went on to have like a long reign at heavyweight, and no one was able to do what Klitschko did. And these guys were much younger than Klitschko. These guys were in their prime. Yet these guys couldn't do what an aging Klitschko did. So that would make Klitschko look really good, right? You'd be like, damn. It's kind of like when Lennox Lewis fought Vitaly Klitschko. When Lennox Lewis fought Vitaly Klitschko was much younger than Lennox Lewis, and Lennox Lewis was an older man. If you look at that fight, that was a very competitive fight. Lennox Lewis won that fight, but Vitaly Klitschko was, winning rounds against Lennox Lewis. That was a very competitive fight. That was one of the most exciting fights in the heavyweight division, right? But look at what happened after that. Lennox Lewis retired, right? But you want to know why that fight makes Lennox Lewis look really good? Because when Lennox Lewis beat Vitaly Klitschko when they had that really tough fight together, look at what happened to Vitaly Klitschko. Vitaly Klitschko went on to not lose a fight for the next 8 years, right? 9 years after losing to Lennox Lewis, he fought on until 2012. So he went on to fight for the next 9 years, and he didn't lose a single fight. He went on to dominate well, I know he took like a couple of years off after like 2004. But the point is, he didn't lose a fight ever after that. That was his last loss, right? He went on to dominate everyone. Sam Peters, Corey Sanders, what's his name? Derek Chisora, Manuel Charr, Chris Ariel. He went on to dominate everyone he fought, right? That's the point. So that makes Lennox Lewis look good, because Lennox Lewis was able to beat a young Vitaly Klitschko when Lennox Lewis was past his prime. Lennox Lewis was in his prime. He was fat. If you remember, he looked fat in that fight, right? He was out of shape. So in out of shape, Lennox Lewis, who was almost 40 years old, was able to defeat a young Vitaly Klitschko, and that young Vitaly Klitschko went on to not lose a fight ever again. He went on to be a dominant champion. So that makes Lennox Lewis look good. So that's kind of like the same thing I feel that is for somebody like Klitschko. Although Klitschko lost to Anthony Joshua, like I said, if let's say Anthony Joshua goes on to win every fight for the next 10 years, or like he goes on to never lose a fight and retire undefeated, and let's say none of his opponents that he fights ever give him a tough fight the way Wladimir Klitschko did, that's going to make Wladimir Klitschko look good. People are going to be thinking to themselves, wow, Wladimir Klitschko was really that good. Because even at the end of his career, he was still able to do what no one could do to Anthony Joshua. So, yeah, once again, I talked a lot in this video, but it was just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the video, and yeah, hit that subscribe button, and if you watched the video from start to finish, as always, much appreciated.